Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to interview the man, the myth, the legend, who is loved, I feel like, from everyone at this point. I want to introduce, please welcome Mams Taylor. All
How are you,
righty.
man? Thank you for the intro. I
Mhm.
definitely am not loved by everyone. I
No,
feel like
sorry,
there's a point.
maybe not everyone, but like a good amount of people. We'll just say it like
Well,
that. Listen, I think heading into all the Misfits talk, right? Because I know everyone. Well, like we were just talking about, everyone has an opinion. Misfits 14, a few weeks ago, from what I remember, got announced, and not only just to myself, but to kind of everyone in this influencer boxing, fandom. What should we expect of this card? What should we kind of expect overall with Misfits 14?
it's gonna be a lot of action, a lot of great
Hmm.
fights. Um, Salt Pappy and Kenny have a pathway which
Hmm.
possibly meets, and that's an exciting thing. They both
Yeah.
want to recover from their losses, and they want to come back and say, "Hey, I'm the guy here." And that's a collision course. They're headed for that collision course. However, there's two roadblocks, one called Amadeus Ferrari and one called Adam Brooks, and
Hmm.
they're looking to cause that upset. And when I say upset, Amadeus Ferrari's a very experienced combat sports fighter, and he's a crazy guy. He's very hungry for this win. Adam
Hmm.
Brooks is very hungry for this win. It's for him. It's now or never as well. It's they might foil these plans, and look, I'm close with Adam, so I'm not rooting against him. But business wise, it makes the most sense for Salt Pappy and Kenny to win these fights. And if they lose these fights, everyone's, oh, Mams, why did you put them against this? This was bad matchmaking. You know what? You can't put Salt Pappy or Kenny against what was the name of the guy that Salt beat in the first Misfits fight? Andy
Oh,
Warski.
Andy Rossi, yeah, Worski.
You can't give them that fight. These are
Hmm.
these are these are both winnable fights for
Yeah.
them. However, there's risk, but that's boxing. This is not look, it's not WWE where I can predetermine an outcome. I can't do that.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, it's and look, things things unfold in the way they're supposed to. If I believe that all four of these men are doing the most training possible and doing everything they can to win the fight. That's all they
Totally.
can do their best, and the rest is fate. Let's see what happens.
So would you
Oh,
say, sorry,
go ahead.
just go for it.
No, no, no. You first.
Okay, so would you say, like, kind of heading to this matchup for Salt Poppy returning as Andy Worski, right? When it comes to anything on the line, if Salt Poppy wins and maybe if King Kenny, kind of wins it too, is that the next fight for Salt Poppy, or in your opinion, because he did talk about having a rematch with AT and Slim and all of that, would he have to get one more fight to, maybe do those rematches?
I think if Salt Poppy wins, or if Kenny wins,
Hmm.
they should have a handicap tag team match against Andy Warski. I think that's the next move.
I think, honestly, I think that would break Twitter for sure. I think it
It
might be
would make
competitive. Who knows?
Hey, Warski's gone and done like. Imagine he comes back and just beats the crap out of everybody, and he's the new hero. No, I'm just kidding.
Mhm.
Look,
Yeah,
let's focus on these fights and see what happens. Sometimes,
definitely.
I'll have look. I always see tweets about why is this happening? Why are these matches happening? Why is this match? Why is this match? I have a Rubik's cube of um, equations to solve, and and it's not like a regular Rubik's cube. It's turning all the time while I'm trying to turn it. It's
It's
going,
really
yeah.
funny you said that. This is like a four.
So,
What he says multiple. It's like a complex cube. This is like a 4x4. But it's funny you said that. Yeah,
but
I was like,
imagine if that cube was moving on its own while you're trying to move it as well. Like, and then
yeah,
there's a puzzle of Rubik's cubes that you have to fit together. That's what it feels like sometimes. So, it's like
definitely.
you have to think ahead. Okay, I'm
Hmm.
doing A to set up B because because I think that C would be amazing. But
Yeah.
it's possible that A never turns into B and it goes straight to D, and this happens and that happens. So I've got to try to think of every outcome and try to make these matches. It's not as simple as let's just focus on right now. It's like let's build something that could seep into the future. Like, look, at the
Definitely.
end of the day, um, there's Elbrook versus Paige Van Sant. It's a
Hmm.
really tough challenge for Elle.
Yeah.
And a lot of my pro friends, pro fighters, or coaches, or people who I've spoken to, they that are very experienced, they're all writing Elle off. Then you've got a fan base that are saying Elle will beat Paige because Paige didn't Paige didn't escalate to the upper echelons of the UFC in terms of being a title contender or
Yeah.
a champion.
Hmm.
And BKFC, she had a couple of very tough but close fights that she lost.
Hmm.
So a lot of fans have written her off because of that. But the
Yeah.
reality is, the combat sports experience that she brings to the table, the amount of rounds she's done sparring, the amount of tough people she's sparred with, she's a very big threat for Elle. In fact, I would say I agree with the pros that Paige is going to be the favorite in this fight.
Totally.
Now, Elle wanted to step it up a notch and go, you know, and look, this is the thing. You Without risk, there's no reward. So
Hmm.
while at the same time, if Elle gets beat up by Paige, people are gonna be like, "Oh, you've ruined another influencer losing to a pro." You gotta go for it, man. You
Yeah.
gotta go for it because that's how that's how some of that's how you break through. That's how you go to the next level.
Definitely.
Um, and
Hmm.
I've just offered Slim a massive fight again. It's how you go for it. If you think you can win a fight and you want to go for it, that's how you elevate to the next level. And
Hmm.
and that's just what it is. It's
I've been kind of seeing on Twitter whether if this fighter's been promoting or not. And I want to kind of ask you, do you think, in your opinion, promotion is subjective or objective?
I think that promotion is very important, but
Hmm.
it is I guess it's
Like,
subjective or objective. I would say that's a really good question. Look,
hmm
there's people that might think they're promoting well, but they're
hmm
not. There's people that
yeah,
might think, hey, if I put this on my Instagram a few times, that's promoting. It is,
hmm
but are you going the extra step? Are you doing what KSI and Logan Paul did in their two fights against each other?
yeah,
Are you doing what Jake does and these other guys where you're shooting content specifically to generate interest?
hmm
Not a lazy, okay, I'm in spaces and I made a tweet and an Instagram post. Cool. But how much creativity goes into that? Now, the
yeah,
people who really take time and do that consistently, not a one off every 3 months, but if you do that consistently, you're going to win. You're going to do well. You're going to do better. Being creative, being inventive, being a pioneer in something, trying to be original. And not just, and originality is inspired by tried and tested ideas.
hmm
Originality doesn't just come from nowhere, right? It's
yeah,
your inspiration. You might be inspired by something KSI did to Logan, or a diss song that this guy did to that. And your inspiration of that says, okay, it's 2024. That's been done. Let me figure out how I can adjust this to make it work for my personality and towards my fans in the climate we're in today. It's very rare, but people who do that are going to win. Look at Tristan Ham.
hmm
That kid, he's come out of nowhere from a completely different world, and he's very committed to making content and to being talking shit. He doesn't care that, all right, he's new on Twitter and everything else. He doesn't care that his likes have gone up. It went from 4 likes to 20 likes to 80 likes, and it's going to
hmm
continue. That's what you need to do. Not be disheartened by it and say, "Oh shit, this isn't working out. I'm just gonna go back to like putting a flyer up on Instagram story." You
yeah,
know?
hmm
So it's really up to the individual. I can say, "Hey, you have an obligation to do A B C D E F G."
hmm
Beyond that, if you do the bare minimum and you don't put creativity or thought behind it, it's on you. You're not going to get that big check, you know?
Yeah.
But if you want to build your and engage your following and get them to be like, okay, shit, this is really what I need to do. Oh wow, this was successful. The fact that I did this and it connected with people and it hyped a fight, now my value is going up. I'm
Hmm.
bringing more eyeballs to this. I'm bringing more ticket sales to this. Now I know my value is higher than what it was. But look,
Yeah.
just if you're just boxing or you're just promoting and you're terrible in the ring, all of these things are going to be factors that contribute towards the overall, I guess you could say, performance, and what you bring, how you are valued as a fighter on Misfits, what your paycheck is valued at, how much fans are into, all of that. So it's about balancing this thing out and not saying, "Hey, I'm a boxer now. I'm not going to promote until I'm in the press conference."
Yeah.
You can do
Hmm.
that, and you can do the flyers, and that's it, and leave it at that. But you're never going to elevate to the next level by doing that. I'll do my
True.
talking in the ring is the worst line in influencer boxing. It's a terrible.
Oh
So,
my. That's so true.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
Mhm.
I hope I never hear that again. But at the end of the day, it's you've got some of that. Look, you've got one-off characters here and there, like Nate Diaz can walk off from a press conference and say "fuck you" to everyone and just
Yeah.
walk away. That works for him
True.
because he's already huge. He's put in. Do you know the amount of time he's put in to become to rack up the wins he did in the UFC and the
Yeah.
losses and the wars, the battles, the
Hmm.
personality.
Hmm.
He didn't try. But he put in the time. If you want to,
Yeah.
if you want to go the long route and you want to commit yourself for 10, 50, 10, 12 years or something, then yeah, maybe your fighting alone will do the trick. But on the whole, in this
Mhm.
fast-paced environment we're in, I would recommend highly that you don't try to be too cool for school. You show your personality in a more animated fashion because that's what it is,
Yeah.
and you connect with people and you hype the fight that you've got on. Look, Salt
Hmm.
Pappy, that guy has never been rude or disrespectful to any of his opponents outside of the ring. In the ring, his punches can be disrespectful, as we can see. Ask Josh Bruckner, ask
Definitely.
Andy,
Hmm.
you know, but he has his own style of promotion. He's always on TikTok, on Instagram. He's great, but he's not a guy who really gets into a Waleed and Dean style beef, you know?
Hmm.
He's not someone who's gonna get into like real personal insults and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And and that's okay. But his style
Hmm.
works for him.
Yeah.
For someone else, it just depends on the person and how far you're willing to push it and how much time you put into it. But if you're there for the check, the fans will see that. The
Yeah.
fans will see that. If you're
Definitely.
there for the overall experience, and you realize the value that this platform can bring to you, you've got a
Hmm.
platform. How are you going to perform? You want to be the main character? Put in the work, rehearse, do your lines, practice your lines with friends, metaphorically, right? I'm
Hmm.
speaking if you're an actor and likening it to being a Misfits fighter. So you're going to do that stuff, and then you're going to have a great performance, and you'll steal the show. Even if you're not the main character, you're the side character, but you've done such a great performance. People are like, bro, I love that guy. That's what Salt Pappy did.
Hmm.
Salt Pappy performed excellently in the ring, and he promoted
True.
very, very well. You know,
Yeah.
um, so it's my thing is, yes, of course it's objective, from that perspective. It's not something that you can. I can only give this basic guideline, but everyone has to figure it out for themselves. If you're
Got
in
you.
influencer boxing and you don't have a clue about what to do, sure, speak to people for advice. There's nothing wrong with that. But
Hmm.
maybe this isn't for you. If you're struggling about what to do for content, then why are you even in this?
Yeah.
Look, there are boxers, there are fighters, um, on pro organizations and on UFC, and they're excellent at promoting. They're just
Hmm.
great at promoting. They're heroes, they're villains. and they don't have to do as much as they do. But someone like
Mhm.
Conor McGregor just had the gift of the gab, and he knew how to make you love him and hate him, and that's it. As long as fans are not indifferent to you, that's the main thing. That's the main thing.
Totally. Um, I really appreciate that answer. It's honestly like a question that I've been wanting to like, kind of answer for a while. I'm not gonna lie, because I've asked a few people and like they kind of like they just didn't really know. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate that answer. And kind of to go along with, the promotion, right? I think part of promotion is storylines, and there is a big storyline fight up in Misfits 14 with Ryan Taylor versus Mist. Apparently a lot of people are in the UK, they know about this fight. In the US, not so much. And for to that fan base specifically, to briefly explain, what is the context and whole beef when it comes to the Ryan Taylor Mist fight?
So Mist is a very successful, popular rapper in the UK.
Yeah.
Ryan Taylor is a BMX champion, bad boy.
Hmm.
We all know him for if you know him from his stunts and BMX stuff, or whether you know him from his beef with Slim and some other stuff he's notorious for. These two were best friends. They
Yeah.
were like
Hmm.
hanging out all the time. And Ryan was gonna do a verse on one of his tracks, and I think he did the verse on a remix, and then the label were okayed it, and they were excited, and then Mist said, no, 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 take him off the track. And Mist's argument was, well, this is my profession. I get to decide. You can't just come in and Ryan was like, yeah, but I added value. I gave you fire, and we're best friends. Why don't you want me to get on with you, and we can both get on in the music space? And maybe I'm not explaining it as well as I should, but there'll be a
Hmm.
documentary um, that a mini documentary that Beal and Ben Davis have been working on. So that's in the
Oh, I'm
works.
excited.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's gonna be fire. Those kids are great, man. They're really, really good addition to Misfits.
Yeah, much
Content.
respect to both. I've had Beal just on recently, and he was like, I don't know if you saw the video, but he kind of posted a clip on Twitter of me interviewing him about how like um where he was at like before you offered him the job, and it's just hearing his story and here's his hustle and his work ethic for Beal. It's just much respect to like his hard work in general, and yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, A- and yeah, and we've got some really good content stuff coming as well. So
Definitely.
I'm super excited. But yeah, it's going to tell the story in full. And the beef started. It was very, it was very. There was a lot of anger, disappointment, betrayal
Hmm.
between in terms of what they felt. And yeah, when I offered the fight, when Ryan told me the story, I was just like, it's like, all right, this is an obvious one because Mist has been wanting to fight. So
Hmm.
initially, I was going to put Mist against another rapper, and this made a lot of sense. And yeah, we're gonna see some real bad blood in there, and they're both training. I think Mist naturally is pretty gifted, like as a fighter, as someone who's had fights, street fights. Um, I think his record's up there with Bryce Hall in the street fights.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
so Ryan Taylor has a lot to prove as well. Like,
Definitely.
A, the
Mhm.
personal beef, and B, I think he got unlucky against Swarms the first time, and
Yeah.
then the second time he kind of he doesn't want to go out like that as someone who basically pulled out of a fight. So I think
Hmm.
it's good redemption chance for him as well, and it's very personal between them. So that beef should be uh, that's the epitome of something like you got a personal issue with someone else, settle it in the
Hmm.
boxing. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Totally. I'm actually really excited for the, upcoming Misfits 14 card. And, I want to ask a few more questions about Misfits. We were just talking about a little bit earlier about Misfits 15. You know, without saying the fights, obviously, because you can't announce it yet, what is the vibe that we should expect for the rest of the card for Misfits 15?
Um, I think that like today, Killer Bee announced that she's going to be fighting, and by
Hmm.
Nugan, her name. a pretty experienced MMA girl, and she wants to fight Elle or Paige. Again, going
Yeah.
back to like plans and seeing like what works. And she look, her engagement is. I saw Astrid comment on, oh, these aren't influencers. Yes, they are. They're actual influencers. The other one won, I think, Real Housewives of Amsterdam or something, and she's got
Hmm.
some combat sports experience. So it's a different audience, but just because you don't know who they are, don't write them off because
Yeah.
look on their page. Look at By Nugent. She's going to probably sell the most tickets. She's from Houston. She's incredible.
Okay.
Um, she's got a hell of a personality, and she really, really is. Ariel Helwani put her on
Hawani show.
Ariel Helwani basically put her on my radar in the first place.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so yes, we're going to have more female fights than usual, but that's the
Hmm.
theme. It's the main event. But we've got some big fights overall. Anyway, we got some really big fights. I think there's a total of 8 fights on the card this time,
Hmm.
and it looks like we might have a couple of kickoffs. So
Ooh, that's exciting. Okay.
yeah,
Definitely.
so and 6 for the main card, and I can't wait. I think there's a new character being unlocked, and this guy is a specimen. He looks he looks like Rambo in his prime. He's 1-0, and he's a big name, massive following outside of our scene, massive following, huge engagement. Um, Fighting another guy with huge engagement as well, who's been on one of our cards before, and yeah, man, I'm excited. I think we got that. We got a couple of tournament matches, obviously. Um,
Hmm.
People will be disappointed that Waleed is not on this card, but there is a reason for that.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
and that reason is he was healing from an injury and couldn't make this card, and I didn't want to replace Waleed. I really want Waleed to stay in the tournament.
Fair.
He's healed up now, but I don't think he had enough time for a full camp,
Yeah.
and he should get that. So, but that's coming. Obviously, I've scheduled that for another card. And then yeah, man, I think 14 and 15 are going to be very good action, a lot of fun, and you know, once I'm willing to bet on this, that after both of those events, you're going to see a lot of positive remarks all around. You know,
Hmm.
the action. I think the main event and the co-main event, which is all I can really talk about for 15. I think both of
Yeah.
those are going to be freaking bangers.
They're gonna be
You know,
crazy. Yeah,
they're
I'm
going
excited for Le'Veon to be on the Houston card. It's surreal. I mean, just to kind of like you know, him against Tristan Ham, L Broken Page. We already talked about it earlier. Those are just both tremendous fights to start off to start announcing. You know, especially for Mrs. 15. So
yeah.
it's yeah, putting that emphasis.
And look,
Hmm.
I'm not a fan of every female fight, just like I'm not a fan of every
Yeah.
male fight. Yeah?
Yeah.
But they can punch. They can
Hmm.
punch. Barbie and Julie Poker, they can punch. It wouldn't be fun to be on the receiving end of any of their punches. Elle
Yeah.
has knockout power. Paige Van Sant has very heavy hands. She's very durable. Man, I can't wait. Honestly,
It's
it's
great. Hmm.
it's Elle's look for Paige. This is like I got this. I've had much harder challenges in her head, right?
Yeah.
I want to be the Misfits champion. I've signed a multi-fight deal. I want to be the
Hmm.
Misfits, and I want to take on all comers. And believe me, the list is getting longer and longer. L,
Yeah.
like nah. I want to do. I want to do what the KSIs and Jake Pauls and Logan Pauls and those guys have been doing. I
For
want to do
sure.
this. I'm
Hmm.
the first female to be doing that, and here's her opportunity. So if she gets the win with authority, can you imagine what that will do for her?
That'd
You
be
know.
crazy. Yeah, that would
So
break it. Hmm.
so either way, they're both female champions that Misfits can be proud of because they're fighting champions. They will take anyone on, and I love that. You know.
For sure. Hmm. I want to, kind of on that topic with influencers, there are some, that are getting introduced into this, new Misfits, you know, universe, whatever you want to call it. What are top three influencers that you would love to bring on to Misfits?
Um, Obviously, I think let's think. That's I don't know, man. I don't
Okay.
I should I tell you what? I don't sit and think about. I think about like people, certain people fighting from different arenas of this
Yeah.
space. I think influencers at this point all
Hmm.
DM me or reach out, or that people reach out or whatever if they want to fight. So
Yeah.
and it's got such a demand. I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, I have a few times. Like I think I've hit up Bradley Martin and people like that to fight.
Hmm.
Um, and they
It
don't
could.
seem interested. I'd love to see Sneeko fight. I'd love to see. I think he had tremendous balls against Sean Strickland. Like he went
Yeah.
in there, and, you know, and tried. And I know it wasn't, you know, I know he wasn't ready for what happened really, and nor should he have been. But he, I respect the fact that he took it like a man. And I think seeing him, I think some of the streamers out there, there was I'd love to see Speed fight. I think he's got a lot of potential, a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
potential.
Definitely.
You know,
It's just.
really called Speed for a reason. I mean, he's very quick. But imagine if he was legit training 2, 3 hours a day for 3, 4 months. I think he'd be a problem. I'd like to
Oh
see
yeah.
Korn come back as well.
Hmm.
There's there's room for that. The kind of there's room for the entertainment, and that those guys are all very entertaining.
Yeah.
Um, so there's got to be room for that. And the thing is, look, KSI was always entertaining. He just got better and better and better at boxing, and he's
True.
still entertaining. He's maintained that. You've
True.
got the Gibbs, the Jake Pauls. Those guys have taken boxing so seriously that they were bound to get better.
Hmm.
And I think what people don't realize is pro boxers. There's a lot of pro boxers. A lot of influencers are now better than a lot of pro boxers. Do you agree with that? You
There's
think
a.
that's a take?
I think you got to pick and choose with some of them. I wouldn't
Well,
say
let
a lot, but I think that if you pick and choose some of the influencers and could do it with some of the pro boxers, yeah.
let me tell you this. There's a lot more pro boxers in the world than there are influencers.
True.
Actual influencers. Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
saying everyone wants to be an influencer, but those pro boxers get paid to fight. That's why they're pro boxers,
Yeah.
and the vast majority of them are journeymen.
Hmm.
Okay, the vast majority of them. Then
Yeah.
you've got a small echelon of tough journeymen who are there
Yeah.
to provide a test, even though
Hmm.
you're likely to beat that guy. He's going to cause problems. It gives you an opportunity to improve under the lights, and therefore you move on to the next level. And then the next ones are people who are like, I'd say maybe a level above a tough, a durable journeyman, someone who's wins and loses, wins some, loses some, and then you've got someone who wins most of his fights,
Hmm.
a prospect, and then you've got champions. So I'm not saying Ginty would give Tank Davis a run for his money. Of course, I'm not stupid, okay?
Yeah.
But I promise you, there are pro boxers out there who fight on the same level as Ginty, and he'd have a good shot against them because
Hmm.
they're pro boxers. That means they get paid. So people might say
Hmm.
I'm crazy for saying this, but there's a lot of pro boxers that are there. They take a check, they get knocked out, they get slept, collect their money, and they go home, and they
Yeah.
do it all over again in 60 days. That's
Hmm.
how they make their living. I mean, they give it a good old college try, but they fail. They're not good boxers. But they
Yeah.
also have 9 to 5 jobs and stuff like that. So
True.
anyway,
True.
I'm
I
rambling. My point
no.
is, it's
Hmm.
it's gap keeps closing, getting closer and closer, and it's muddy waters. It's not easy to define um, who's who and what's what. And
Yeah.
look, uh, I'm really not taking a dig, but the last two guys that Jake fought as well. There are lots of people on the roster that could beat those guys. I guarantee you that. I would
Hmm.
put big money on that. And there's
Hmm.
guys on my roster who would beat Joe Fournier.
Yeah.
There's guys
Hmm.
on my. I'm keeping it equal. I'm keeping it peaceful.
True.
So,
Hmm.
but what I'm saying is these are the facts. It's not these are young guys who have the money to go to great coaches to get special one-on-one attention.
Yeah.
They're and they've earned the money through their YouTube, through their TikTok, through whatever else they've been doing, and they've got the opportunity to get one-on-one training with really, really good coaches most of the time, and they're elevating a lot quicker than you would if you were going to a boxing class 3 times a week,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
30 other people.
Hmm. And I want to go just one last thing before we go into like the other topics, right? I think with Misfits boxing, even having that passionate fan base, for all these influencer boxers, I think that gets represented too on other stuff like Twitter. And so whenever you hop on Twitter in these spaces, who are um who are some people you enjoyed kind of talking to through these spaces when it comes to the Twitter fan base for Misfits boxing?
Um, I don't know. I think I'm interested to hear from everyone. And
Yeah.
look, if someone gets on spaces and just is, you know, starts shouting insults out and stuff, um, I'm not too big on that. But if someone
Yeah.
gets on, gives you constructive criticism, there was a guy who gave me some tough questions on my last space.
Mm.
And he was asking some really good questions, and I had to think, and I was like, well, this is what I was trying to do is determine the difference between me justifying something
Yeah.
or me actually having that opinion, and not mixing the two. So
Yeah.
I don't want to come up, I don't want to be dishonest in my answer because some of the
Hmm.
points he was making were really strong, and
Yeah.
they were constructive criticisms. Yeah,
Hmm.
he was talking about why are you putting this person on the card and not that person? Why are you putting things
Yeah.
specifically? Why did you put King Kenny and Adam Brooks not as co-main event? And
Oh yeah. Hmm.
were you there for that?
I was there for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Hmm.
was interesting, and I think I answered as honestly as possible, and I said, "Look, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. These are the
Hmm.
reasons that I have. It
True.
doesn't
Hmm.
mean everyone's going to agree with them, but on the whole, a lot of thought gets put into the running orders um, and the fights and the matchmaking in general. Yes, sometimes we're up shit's creek. Someone cancels a week before, 2 weeks
Hmm.
before. I can't put as much thought and time into that opponent.
Yeah.
I've got to take what's plausible, what's possible, and obviously, if I have 3 or 4 options, I'll choose the best one. But
Hmm.
you know, a funny saying is like, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Okay,
Okay. Hmm. I've
meaning,
never heard of that. That's actually very interesting to. That's actually a very
yeah,
interesting quote. Hmm.
it means shit happens,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
not everything goes the way that you visualize it to go and picture it to go. And
Hmm.
sometimes, a lot of the time, it's for the better. You know.
Yeah. Actually, I want to kind of get into a little bit other stuff than just Misfits. Even some of the stuff that, we've kind of talked about when we were at Misfits 13. One of which was, I think the time management aspect, I believe is what it was when we were talking about Misfits 13, along with a few other things. You are a very busy person, just outside of Misfits. Even BJ Flores even pointed out how much time you put into Misfits boxing, but you're also managing, the proper loud, with all the musicians. You have a farm, a family. How do you manage all types of things when it comes, into a 24-hour span or even throughout a week? Do you kind of write it down? Do you think about it mentally of how I should plan out the day? What is it
Uh,
that you do?
I make sure that I have my time on weekends with my animals where I'm riding and
Hmm.
on Saturday and Sunday and maybe a Thursday. Well, it depends. Your schedule's not set every day with what I
Yeah.
do. So you get
Hmm.
pockets of free time. And during those pockets, I don't sit and do nothing. I take advantage of it and make sure I'm doing something that's fun, constructive, even if I'm,
Hmm.
if I, or I'll nap and recharge, and that's really valuable as well because I probably get 5 hours of sleep and then maybe I'll do a 20, 30 minute nap. um, so yeah, man, I'm working all the time. I love it, but I do
Hmm.
feel that being in the environment I'm in has been really healthy for me to be grounded, to stay grounded, to do
Yeah.
things, be of value, be of service, whether it's to
Hmm.
my animals, to my family, to friends. um, I think doing things that are not for yourself and being of service on the whole is one of the most amazing things that fills you up with personal gratitude,
Hmm.
um, fills you up with the ability to feel validated by yourself, by your own actions, and not be reliant on other people saying stuff to you,
Yeah.
whether it's good or bad. That way, you don't, the more you know yourself, the less you give a fuck what people think or say. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to hear constructive criticism,
Hmm.
but, and take it on board and say, hey, maybe this is a good idea, maybe this is bad, blah, blah, blah. Um, but I think that's the journey, and that's the fun part of it. But doing things
Hmm.
like, honestly, get so excited even thinking or talking about it. I won't try and bore your audience, but if
Talk about
if
whatever you want. Trust me.
if I'm
Everyone's loving this. Everyone's loving this right now. So just talk, keep going what you're doing. Seriously.
they're loving this right now. Wait, are we live? I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
this- no,
So so basically, when I'm out there, man, and look, when I'm out there and
Mhm.
I'm cleaning a hoof, and I've got my pick, and I'm going into it, and then I clean my donkeys who've been rolling around in mud, and make sure
Mhm.
they've got a little nick or an injury, and I I
Yeah.
I heal the wound and pour stuff on it. I've learned so much today. I injected my horse before he was getting his teeth done.
Yeah.
And I did it. I did the injection myself to learn how to do it. So I was taught this, and I was really nervous because you have to give them a slight sedative, otherwise they might go crazy.
Hmm.
And I think stuff like that is of so much value. And look, those teeth, what happens with horses, especially their back teeth, they become really sharp and start cutting into their gums. And that's 80% of the reason horses act up when you ride on them and they're pissed and they throw you off or they buck or rear or do something. 90% of that is because their teeth are not addressed. And horse owners are not that responsible sometimes. Obviously, there are some who
Yeah.
are. Um, and they ignore that, or they go to a
Hmm.
bad dentist, or they take their horse to the vet. It's about going to a really good, I'm so rambling, but it's about
Yeah.
going to a good dentist. And
Hmm.
and I wanted to learn that. So I injected him, gave him the sedative, gave her the sedative, sorry.
Hmm.
And man, she's a different horse. She's so happy. She's so happy. And she came from an environment which I think she was more neglected than abused. She was really neglected. And and now she's thriving. Bro, what
Hmm.
can make you feel better than that? For me, that's something I'm so passionate about. Um,
Hmm.
and it's the same thing. Um, when you see people who are inspired by Misfits, when you see kids have lost 100 pounds of weight and they're telling me their mental health is so much better, or you see success stories of people like Joey Knight coming up and saying, "Hey, man, you've changed my life. Thank you so much." Not that he had a bad life, but the fact that you help give people purpose with what you're doing. This stuff is validating. That's the stuff that's validating. That's
Hmm.
the stuff that makes you feel like, okay, I'm a worthwhile human being doing worthwhile things. This is cool. This is
Hmm.
nice. And then take it a step further and do things you don't talk about, that I won't tell you about, that help affect people in a very positive way. That
Hmm.
that is what this world is about to me, I think. And it took me a fucking long time to figure that out. Gratitude, being of service, and in general doesn't mean don't have a good time and don't take care of yourself, and don't. Actually, the opposite. The more you take care of yourself on a deep level, the more you're able to serve people without an ego and on a deep level.
How you keep working and everything, right? I think that's kind of going to go into a different topic. Be prepared. But you at one point, I remember, I believe it was on True Jordy. You were just only working for money, 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 right? And you kind of
Mhm.
got lost in that, right? So, you know, once when you kind of notice that, like, oh, maybe money is not, making money is not the main focus point in life, right? And you said you lost it all. Um,
Yeah.
if you could, in your opinion, if you could put it into a percentage, or not, maybe not a percentage, however you want to describe it, what is that balance between, money versus happiness? Because
Okay.
that is a main thing that everyone kind of talks about in the world of, like, how do I balance money versus happiness? So if you
bro.
could put that in a percentage, what's your opinion? Like,
There's
you
no
know,
percentage. There's no
okay.
percentage. What's
Hmm.
I mean, money versus happiness. Happiness is success.
Yeah.
Success is happiness.
Hmm.
Um, if you're a multi-billionaire who's miserable, who doesn't have a connection with his family, with his wife, with his kid, and you don't take your only pleasure is making money.
Yeah.
Um, I think you don't, and I wasn't as bad as that, but I did have that in me. That
Hmm.
was a big part of me where money was like my sense of validation. Oh, if I have money, I can buy Ferraris and people will like me because they'll think I'm cool. You
Yeah.
know, that's bullshit.
Hmm.
Okay. Because to be honest, there's a whole, I mean, this is a rabbit hole we could go down
Yeah,
for hours, but
for sure.
but I
Hmm.
know from experience that it's bullshit. Now, is
Yeah.
it nice to have a Ferrari? Sure, but it does not define who the fuck you are. And if
True.
you have friends because you have a Ferrari, are they really friends? No, they're fucking idiots. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're happy being around people who don't even get to know you or care for you or anything, because when I had those friends, guess
Hmm.
what? When I lost the money, where the fuck were those friends? Gone, gone.
Hmm.
Hey man, I could really use I could really use a little bit of a loan. Remember, I loaned you a fucking massive amount of money before when you needed it. Uh, can I have a few bucks here because I'm struggling? No callback, you know, and and that is the type of shit that I that's not they're not bad. That's their journey. I don't give a shit. That's between them and God and whatever they go through.
Yeah.
My journey is to learn. And learning was to say, okay, if I it's like this. If a girl puts out like a picture on her profile that's in lingerie, very sexual nature, and she's attracting guys who want to shag her, okay?
Hmm.
And then she'll complain, hey, I'm not getting into any relationships. She's leading with her sex. So
Hmm.
why does she expect someone to get to know who she is beyond sex? Okay, this is human nature. If
Yeah.
I lead with money when I meet someone and I'm
Hmm.
like, look, I've got all this fucking money, I'm cool, they're going to be a certain type of person will be attracted to money. So then it's my own fault if I expect them not to ask for money or not to be liking me for the money, you know?
Hmm.
So if I'm leading with that, then what the fuck do I expect? And it's the same thing with sex, with cars, with this and that. Honestly, it's a tough one because we're so obsessed with material things that are transitory.
Especially
But
in social media. Yeah.
But bro, this is why you got to limit your time on social media.
True.
You got to put a
Hmm.
limiter on your phone and say, okay,
Yeah.
I've been on Instagram and Twitter for an hour today. That's good.
Yeah.
Or an hour and a half or two or whatever. But you still
Hmm.
have plenty of time to do things that make you feel good
Yeah.
beyond the quick fix of uh, the quick fix of avoidance of boredom. It's an example. If you're watching porn on a regular basis and you get trapped into that world, it does affect your outlook on things. It affects your sex life, your intimacy, um, all of these things, your relationships, and your ability to be intimate with someone. And it's a psychological effect it has. Anyone can Google this. It's just so many big studies on this that um, it has an effect on your brain. And that dopamine hit again. It's not necessarily a good hit. It's good for the time. At the end of
Hmm.
the day, real relationships, real connections with people, with
Yeah.
animals, being of service. These are the things that will ultimately make you happy. Doing something that God's gifted you with, that you're like, okay, you're a great songwriter. Go and write the best songs in the world, and if you're a runner, it makes you feel great when you're running. If you're
Hmm.
whatever makes you feel great and you feel aligned. But we don't all have the luxury of doing our dream job right away, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So what do? We do our shit job that we don't want to do as well as we possibly can with a massive fucking smile on our face, with energy that's open and it's there to say like I want to connect with people. And when
Hmm.
people see that, they gravitate towards you and other opportunities are born. Now, if you do have the opportunity to pursue your dream right away and be an entrepreneur and everything else, go for it. But the real world, a lot of these motivational speakers say, yeah, quit your job and just fucking go for it. But not everyone's in a position to because they're struggling to fucking buy their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know,
True.
they
Hmm.
can't. They can't. They cannot do that. There's no. What do you want them to do? Rob a bank? Okay.
Hmm.
So yes, that's a great thought. Do that when, if and when you're ready for it. You
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
But at the same time, when you can't, if you're forced into doing something, you might as well fucking enjoy the shit out of it. If you've
Hmm.
got dishes to do for the next 45 minutes and you have no other choice but to do those dishes, you could be a miserable bastard about it and complain, and that's going to attract more negative energy. Or you could just say, I'm going to put on some music. What's your favorite song right
My
now? What's
favorite
your
song.
favorite
See, okay, see,
artist?
song. Here's the thing. Songs is a little different. There isn't a
Give me
specific
your favorite
song.
artist.
Artist. I will go. Ooh, favorite artist. I'll go. There's Drake, Travis. Go around there. Drake or Travis.
Okay.
We'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put on your Drake, you put on your
Yeah.
Travis, you
Hmm.
wash your dishes, you start thinking about things. What are you most passionate about?
Most passionate.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's literally right now. Most
That's
passionate
what
is
you're doing.
talking to people doing interviews.
So,
Yeah.
so, bro,
Mhm.
while you're doing that, imagine
Yeah.
like you can start thinking of ideas. What questions can I ask that are interesting? What has no one thought of? Maybe I'll do a show someday. Maybe I'll do this. This is how ideas are born. The first time you think of something, okay, if it's a great idea and you love it and you're passionate about it and it gives you that excitement, now you can nurture that idea. It started 25 years ago, but and now it's become this
Yeah.
empire. And then you say to, you say to your parents, look, this is, remember we talked about this? Look at this now. That's, you
Hmm.
plant the seed, but that comes from doing shit like washing dishes with a positive attitude, you
You
know?
you know what's really funny? So when you say that, like, thinking about ideas while you're working and stuff, I was this was before when I was making, because I have an outline. I'm not going like question for question. I have an outline of what I want to ask. And one of the question of when I asked, like, what is promotion subjective or objective? I literally it was kind of hard for me to sleep one of the nights. And literally 1:30 in the morning, I just thought of that question and I wrote it down. So I don't forget to I don't forget to ask you that question. You get what
No,
I
it's
mean?
a great
So
question.
it's really funny. It's
It's a
really funny you
great
said
question.
that. Yeah. All right. Well, honestly, Mams, this has been a really, really good conversation. I've really enjoyed, getting to talk to you on my show. I want to ask one last thing before I want to actually, we'll go two things because I usually do two segments before we wrap up the show in total. So I usually do this segment. This will be very quick on my show. It's called a one word segment. I'll give you a name and you just got to describe it in one word. It's really
Okay.
simple. We get straight
Okay.
straight to the point like that. It's Fox of G.
You've allowed me two words, right?
Sure. There's exceptions to the rule. We'll go with two words.
Potential superstar.
Okay. Okay. Saul Poppy.
Potential superstar.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Perfect. Bryce Hall.
Very entertaining.
Very entertaining. All right. And we'll go last one right here. Misfits boxing.
Take over the world. Three.
Three. Hey, exceptions to the rule. We'll go along with that. All right. Now
Yeah,
I want
it's
to
hard to do that one word challenge because you can't really
yeah,
describe it.
listen, I mean, with some fighters, I always do it too. They'll always say either two words and then they'll feel bad, and I'm like, dude, it's no worries, not the end of the world. We'll go with two words for
You should make
that.
them feel bad. You should make
I'm
them feel
sorry.
bad. You should make them feel bad.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I should definitely, get mad at them for that. After this interview, is there anyone in your opinion that you'd like to see me interview? Any influencer, anyone you think?
I think. I think you should interview Bevo.
Bevo? All right. Hey, we'll get Bevo on the show. Everyone tag Bevo in the comments. All right. We'll get him on the show one day. I appreciate it, man. Seriously. For everyone who's still tuned into this interview, I really appreciate everyone who is still here. The goal for right now, before my birthday, is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So please hit the subscribe button. Mams, once again, I'm thank you so much for, not only just Misfits, but I think we like more of this side of Mams of talking about just other stuff outside of Misfits and kind of get to I guess I don't know how to describe what we just talked about. I guess like the meanings in certain situations or just life.
Everything,
I think,
everything comes back
yeah,
to flowing, and if you're
yeah,
able to flow in the conversation, I think that's what it is. Look, if
yeah,
I put anyone to sleep, I'm sorry. And if we inspired one person, if one person's like, holy shit,
yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna try this. Bro,
Mhm.
that's this interview is two reasons I do this is because that could happen,
Yeah.
and secondly is because I support what you're doing and I support your dream, and you're
Mhm.
passionate, and you've always actually been one of the guys on Spaces who ask good questions, and you're
Oh,
always
thank you.
there. You go to the events. You're making an effort. Your effort is not unnoticed, and I want you to I want you to excel in what you're doing, and I hope you do. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Thank you so much.